Hi, I'm the political geek that is Martin Curtis, and this is Change from the Centre. So, this is part two of something that I started last week, which is a little recording about how you might want to go about choosing your candidate rather than just putting a tick by the box of the party that you represent. And this is based on 25 years basically of being in and around local government, including time as a councillor and time as a council leader. So last week I did items 1 to 5, and I'm just going to put these up to summarize them, and I'll put them up at the end again with 6 to 10. So the first 5 things to decide, and what I would recommend if you're interested in what I've said here, is go back to episode 1 because I'm not going to go over them all again. Make sure you turn up to the polling station and make a mark. Understand what your councillors are there to do. The right individual is more important than the right political party. Don't take everything at face value, and get to know your candidate. Now, this week, I'm going to go through 6 to 10, but I'm going to make the same plea. If you like what I've said in this episode, then please subscribe to my channel. Subscriptions are really important in YouTube. And also, if there's something that you think is quite controversial, or you disagree with, or you agree, please put a comment in. I do try and respond when I get comments, so that would be great. So here we go, on with item 6. So item number 6 on my list of 10 is don't support entirely negative candidates. This assumes, first of all, that you're going to do some work to get to know your candidate, but certainly make sure they've got something positive to say. It's one of the worst aspects of British politics at the moment is that elections tend to be about who's going to be least bad rather than a real genuine battle of ideas. And it's, to me, it's those ideas that are really important, because where those ideas rub against each other, that's where your original thought comes in and comes into it. But if a candidate, if all they're doing is slamming another candidate and slamming the council without talking actively, and probably more than they do the negative, about what they want to achieve, then just don't support them. Don't care what party they are. And I see this from candidates from every single party. Don't care what party they are, don't support them. Item number 7, get to know the local party. So it's not just enough to get to know the candidate. Look at the local party's website, look at the Facebook page, see what sort of comments are on there, see what the local party stands for, and see what sort of voice they have, because it may be that your local party's issues are not necessarily the same as the national party are. And if all they're doing is repeating what the national party is saying, when they're supposed to be promoting local council candidates, then once again, that may not be the party for you, even though your instincts are at a national level that you would support them. So item number 8, get to know the issues. This is really, really important. What are the common issues through the campaign? What is it that all the parties are talking about? And if you can identify that and identify a key theme, then what I would say to you is dig underneath and find out. Ask questions of the candidates. Some of the things I talked about in 1 to 5. Ask questions of the candidates. Get a response from the candidate about what they think, not from the candidate's party, because it's the candidate that you're looking at and who they are. And there's all sorts of issues where where this might be relevant, and then there might be, is there a big planning application? If all they're doing is saying, I'm going to oppose that planning application, there's a question about whether they should or shouldn't do that, by the way. But if that's all they do, then they may be digging a hole for themselves, and you need to get underneath it and understand that. Because if, as an example, that application that they're going to oppose is approved in the council's local plan, it may be that if it's refused, it goes to appeal and the council loses the appeal. And not only do you end up with a development you don't want, but you end up with a council losing, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of pounds in costs. So it's important that you get to know the issues and get underneath them before you decide who it is you're going to vote for. So item number 9 in my list, be wary of broad brush statements. This is something I really, really care about, and it really annoys me. You want something with a bit of meat on and a bit of how in what they say. So let me give you examples of broad brush statements. End the war on motorists. What does that mean? What does that mean locally? What are they going to do as a result of that? That phrase in itself is just populism. I want this area to be cleaner and greener. Okay, how are you going to do that? Ask the question, because just saying that's an ambition means nothing. And the other one is things like more job opportunities for local people. It's a very relevant thing to want, but you've got to talk about the how and have the meat behind it. It's at the very least, so that you can be sure that the candidate understands exactly how the council works and the mechanisms they are going to have to go through to achieve what they want to do. Number 10, be wary of candidates who just say what they think you want to hear. You might get this quite a bit. Some candidates do not like the idea that they're going to say something you don't like. But what happens is they'll go round the corner and the next person they meet wants something completely different and the opposite, and they'll offer that as well. And I've seen this with a number of councillors as well as candidates. And it's a really, really difficult thing to do, to deal with, because you just don't know what you're getting. So it's something that if when you have a conversation with a candidate and everything they say is you're right, I'll make sure that's done, blah, 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 then you need to start pushing back and getting to understand what they're saying elsewhere. So that is the end of my list, but I'm going to put up this final one just so that you've got a summary of everything. Items 1 to 10. I'm not going to go through them because you've seen them and heard them, but I just want to repeat, these are just my own views about what you need to look for in a candidate. They are not a definitive list from anybody else. You might disagree with some of it. You might agree with some of it. You might have things you'd want to add on. Put a comment in. Let me know what you think. But if you like what I've said, or if you found it interesting, offered some food for thought, please also consider subscribing to the channel. I've said it before, but subscriptions for YouTube are really, really important. So if you could do that, it would be great. But the most important thing from me is please keep coming back, and thank you very much for spending your time listening to what I've got to say. Thank you.